So, hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of AnchorHaven, the Mystical Wellness podcast. I'm Julia, and our special guest this evening, I'm so excited to welcome Soma ARah, the Pleiadian child and Pleiadian Channel. And so I'll do a little bit of an introduction for Soma. She is an internationally renowned psychic medium, a Reiki master healer, shamanic practitioner, a Pleiadian starseed, channel and ambassador. And she's a contactee and an experiencer, and a visionary, an indigo, mystic, clairvoyant, lightworker channel, an empath, and author of the Pleiadian Child, and also the book of What's Really Going On. And Soma, welcome. It's so nice to have you here. How are you?
Hello, Julia. Thank you for inviting me to be here this evening. It's really nice to connect in with some new people and some fresh energy. And things have been a bit stagnant. Not in well, a little bit stagnant. Yeah, there's been some stagnant energy. So lots of new beginnings, and it's January 2025, and the stars and the planets actually are definitely aligning, as a lot of us know. But yeah, thank you everyone for being here and connecting in. And yeah, well, thank you for having me, actually.
So, most people here are not aware of you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, well, I am a Pleiadian Channel contactee, experiencer, and abductee. And my story began as in childhood, where I was having a lot of spiritual experiences right from when I was in the cot, actually. And a lot of it I don't remember, but I just really remember from the age of 8. And then from my early 20s, for about 20 years, or maybe 10 years, I forget now, but I developed my mediumship and then went into more channeling and more experiences, and really connected on a much deeper level with the Pleadians, where I'm able to see them physically a lot of the time. And some of the information is in my first book, The Pleiadian Child, by Carol Ann Noonan, which is my birth name. And it's kind of strange because I really used to crave normal, and nothing could be further from the truth at all. I mean, with the spiritual experiences that I've had since I was a child. And so many of us, we do have spiritual experiences, but they're not as chock-a-block, or not as packed full. Whereas that seems to be such a big part of my life, and my soul journey in this lifetime is to bring forth the information from the Pleadians, and to really get that out into as much as I possibly can, into the public domain. And it's been full of stops and starts for me. There was a couple of years back, just before COVID kicked off, where I hadn't channeled for a while. Life kind of took over, and then when COVID kicked off, I had a lot of anxiety around it, and a very panicky feeling, and so I went into the garden and channeled the Pleadians, and was given a whole download of information. And that some of that ended, not all of it, but some of that ended up in my book called What's Really Going On, which was banned on Amazon and is available on my website, somaarah.love. Yeah, and lately I've just been really enjoying connecting with people and connecting with new people and doing readings, and Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about the Pleadians. How did you know who they were, and how did you know that you're like a Pleadian hybrid, a starseed?
So my story is very back to front, but that's a really great question, Julia. So I began to channel them as a child due to some traumatic events. I would leave my body. And then skipping forward, I had forgotten that, and skipping forward to 2009 or 2010, I had just left my husband, who was a Tibetan monk, and I wanted a peaceful house somewhere on the beach. And so I moved from London to Ireland, and I ended up in this beautiful area in quite a rundown house, but very large, very cheap. And the glass in the living room overlooked the ocean. So I said yes because of the view, I thought. And then so when I was there in Mayo in rural Ireland, beautiful place, a minute from the beach and very rural, middle of nowhere, you could see the stars at night, and just a beautiful place. And it's exactly what I needed. And I was sent an email. I'd already started to write and channel, although I felt it was more automatic writing at the time in London. And then I moved to this place in Ireland, and I was sent an email by a guy who I thought was crazy, called Joshua Shapiro. And it turns out he's not so crazy. Like, I'd never heard of him, but he's a crystal skull explorer. And Julia has met him. He's an amazing guy. And so he sent me an email saying, hi, I got your name from the Pleiadians, and I think I've been told we should work together. And I just thought, yeah, okay, crazy guy. But it turns out, no, he's actually extremely on point. And that was thus my conscious channeling of the Pleiadians began very clearly. I mean, I could see them behind me. I could see Ashtar very, very, very clearly, because I've been doing mediumship for since I was a child. I was my granddad and just so many spirit were always coming to me. And so Ashtar turned up behind me, and he said, hello, my name is Ashtar, Commander. I'm a Pleiadian. And then there were other beings behind him that were also Pleiadian. So he kind of turned up with a whole team of Pleiadians. And so the Pleiadians are, and when this happened, I didn't know who they were. I'd forgotten my childhood. I'd forgotten the channeling, the downloads, all of it, just wiped because of trauma. That was, the mind protects people or the person when there's been a lot of trauma, so it blocks it out, which is why so many victims of abuse and rape can't remember. Like, it's just gone. It's because it's the brain's way of protecting the mind or the soul, even sometimes the body. So yeah, and so they turned up, and that's, I began to channel, and I didn't know who they were. And yeah, it's been such a roller coaster ride. And it's not to say that my life has been easy or breezy or without big challenges. But I am very blessed in that area where I'm able to channel the Pleadians. Yeah.
That sounds fascinating. So do they come through like clairaudience, or are you clairvoyant? How does it work?
That's really interesting, Julia, because as time has gone on, I have become much more experienced, and that it's been a process, of an ongoing process, and sometimes they show up in different ways. And sometimes when they do that, I've worked with them so long that I've worked with them in different ways. So when I first began to, I'll give you a couple of examples. So when I first began to consciously channel them, they like I was working, and I still am working with them very clairaudiently. So when he turned up, I could see him as a spirit being. I didn't know who he was. Even when he said his name, I was like, who? But he said, hello, my name is Ashtar, a Pleiadian Commander. So that was my first introduction that I consciously remember, because I'd forgotten the childhood stuff connection. So at that time, I was working with them audibly, and I had already started my book, which was only meant to be about my childhood experiences and everything that I'd gone through and trauma. And then it turned into two different more sections where I as he was talking to me, and I could hear him very clairaudiently, like I can hear you. So I just was taking dictation. And that was how I first worked with them. And then skipping forward a lot, in 2019, I was given downloads of information. And I was doing interviews and sharing the information. And in some of the interviews, I would go into a channeling. There's one particular interview I did with a woman in Australia, where they came through, and the person that had arranged and scheduled the interview was very, I would say he was a channel himself, very connected to the Star Nations. And during that interview, which is still available publicly, and you can see it on camera, that the energy behind me, it starts to move and shimmer, which is really interesting. I'll share the link in a minute, but I just want to share this experience or story with you. So they came, and normally at the time they were standing beside me. Ashtar normally stands on my right or my left. He told me in the interview to close my eyes, so I did. And then he stepped, so, which is a form of trans mediumship. So he stepped forward, he stepped into my body, and you could see the facial changes on the camera when I watched it back, and you could also see the energy behind me. But my voice changed so much. So that was one way that I work with them. That was an introduction to that type of working with them. And of course, the taking the dictation. And how else do I work with them?
Do you work with them every day?
I do work with, yeah, they are always here these days, which is just lovely. You know, I think probably since I left the UK, 2020, I think it was, or 23, they have consistently been with me every day. That doesn't mean to say I channel every day publicly, but I do. They're always around me now, which is just, yeah, it's a very, very loving, protective energy, which is off the scale. It's times 1,000, which is one of the ways I always know it's their energy. And I was going to say something there. Yes, thank you. So I've also started to sometimes in an interview or in a channeling, whether it's an interview or a group, sometimes I open my eyes and I'm still in that energy. So sometimes I'm still channeling even though my eyes are open, which is quite new to me. I don't like doing it. But like, for example, I'm hearing them now, and sometimes I will say thank you to them, because that would be a lot of my training in mediumship was, you always give thanks and you always ask for more. That's very old school, but I was taught as a medium to do that to spirit, so I treat them like spirit, and I give thanks and always ask for more as well when I can remember to. So so how they appear to me, and I'm sure this is how they look, and I had to Google it when Ashtar first turned up. So I Googled his name, which I rarely do. I rarely Google any information they give me. There's been a handful, maybe 5 or 6, 7, 8 times since 2009 where I have Googled stuff. So very rarely do I Google information to clarify it. But when he turned up, I did Google what they look like, and they do. That's how I see them. When he turned up surrounded in a blue aura with like sparkly energy, and he and they are tall, thin, blonde, blue-eyed, very beautiful looking faces, and there's always a sense of robes, that they're wearing robes, or a particular style of dress. Sometimes it looks like the clothing on the internet images that you see with a robe over it sometimes, but just beautiful divine beings. And they are, of course, not angels, although when people haven't heard of them before, I do always describe them. I'd like to keep things simple and describe them as being similar to archangels, but they are positive ET race or species from the Pleiadian star system. And of course there are others like Syrians and Lyrans, and the universe is teeming with life.
So Joanne has a great question. Is what information do they give you that is different from a spirit guide? So how are the galactic guides different?
That's a great question. I'm just going to turn up my volume. So the question is, how is the information different? Well, when I work with my guides, they normally are I've been working with them since I was a child, because I had so much trauma. I turned to my guides. So my guides, the information my guides give me, and one of them is a Native American that I call Many Moons, and the information they give me, my spirit guides give me, is more, and especially the Native American, is much more about me and my journey and what I'm going through, and how, and answers in my life, what I can do, and also my past life. They've given me information about that. It's more solutions to problems that I've had over the years. It's more, they more share with me on a personal level, whereas the Pleiadians and Ashtar, and not so much so. It's more to do with the history of our planet, the history of us. It's more expansive and more cosmic understanding. It's more advanced, really, than what I feel. That's how I would describe it. It's more advanced information that I get to do with history, science, archaeology, discoveries. It's more of a cosmic or galactic or universal history and science, bearing in mind that the Pleadians stopped me from entering the school system. So I didn't learn history, I didn't learn science, I didn't learn archaeology. I didn't have those years in the school system from the age of 12 to 16 because they wouldn't allow me to enter. They had put a wall of energy in front of me.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So I mean, I read on your bio that you spent most of your teenage years doing meditation and channeling. How did that go down with your family?
Not well.
Oh, no.
Not well. That's very funny. No one's ever thought to ask me that before. But yeah, that was a whole other stuff going on there. So my mum had a lot of problems, and she was an alcoholic, and she worked she was kind of a functioning alcoholic, where she had 2 or 3 different jobs, and she was always working. She was very motivated to earn an income, I guess, because she had us. There was a big age gap between me and my siblings, at least 10 years. So they were grown up. There was 10 years.
Oh, 1 second. You might be on mute. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, I was talking away. I wasn't sure if you, what did
Yeah. No, I was just because we were getting some other noise coming through, so I was just muting the group for a sec. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So why do you think the Pleiadians are coming forward at this particular point in time? Is it because of the ascension? A lot of people are talking about the new Earth energies. What do you think?
Well, we've just stepped into the precipice of the greatest awakening of humanity that we've ever experienced. Ever. We've never experienced an awakening of humanity in this way, with the technology that we have, and so that comes with an expansion of awareness, of consciousness, of our galactic brothers and sisters and star nations. So our frequency, our vibration, we're able to accept more energy, more frequency of a higher level. And so our receptors, our ability to connect and channel, actually what's happened is us as human beings, we've really expanded and are evolving, especially since 2019, where and there are different leaps forward, different steps that we take kind of up the scale. But since 2019, we've really taken a massive leap forward in human evolution, which includes some of our abilities like telepathy, awareness, intuition, psychic abilities, mediumship, even channeling. We're expanding. We really are expanding and waking up to a higher level of consciousness, and our bodies are also changing, moving forward, growing, learning, understanding. We're like a glass of water that has just grown and are able to contain and hold more energy, more light, more frequency, more sound, more vibration, more healing, more input. We are just in an expansive awakening of consciousness, and it's beautiful.
That sounds fantastic. And I'm so fortunate that I get to join you on the Cosmic Starseed Academy group weekly, and it's fascinating to watch you do these live channelings. So it's definitely recommended if anybody's thinking of joining. It would be so great. Do you think we'd be able to get a little bit of a message for each person in the group from the Pleadians? Oh, Joanne's asked me, how would someone start channeling? We've also got questions about Tamiana, but I want to do that off the recording because it goes back to those symbols that I showed you a while back. And the other question was, why was your book banned on Amazon? What reason did they give you?
They said it contained information regarding health that wasn't suitable for the public, or something. I'm not going to swear, but something like that.
Because it was going against the narrative at the time, wasn't it, for what they
Exactly.
were, publishing about
Exactly.
the jib jabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually remember being very surprised. And then I kind of copped on to myself. I was like, oh, okay. So the information is you're regarding that as being of a danger to the public, because they were coming, or saying they were coming from the perspective of having the public's best interests at heart, which of course we know that those types of organizations don't. So basically, what really was going on, and still, censorship. So, but it is available on my website. So, and I think it's 377, something like that, in euros.
Yeah. So if someone was going to start channeling guides, spirit guides, or the galactic guides, what tips would you give them? How should they start?
Well, a couple of things there I'd like to add and say about that. So, firstly, meditation is the key. But bear in mind that it's not you don't just sit down one day and decide, I'm going to channel the Pleiadians. For me, it's been an ongoing process, an ongoing thing since I was 8. So, and I'm 50 now. So it can be, it doesn't have to be that as long as that, because that's a bit dramatic. But I would say that if it's meant to be on a soul level, because it is part of a soul journey, you know, and your soul mission, rather, your soul mission, if it's meant to be, it will happen. But it's not an overnight success or ability. It can take a long time. It doesn't have to. Some people do have experiences where they do sit down and channel, but it takes dedication. And meditation is the key. Thank you. Meditation is the key. And an expansion of awareness and consciousness. And also what's crucial is our ability, or your ability, to step into a higher frequency, a higher vibration, a frequency of love, because that is where they operate, that is where they live, that is where they exist, in a higher frequency of love. And they very much embody that energy, which is measurable, and therefore if it's measurable, it can be created. So you can absolutely create that energy in and around and outside of you, in your physical bodies and in your aura. And I think it's important here when I talk about love and their frequency, it always makes me think of depression and that condition, and how people can really, you know, and I did myself. I had depression for a long time, at least 10 years, and I was shown how to pull myself out of it. That's not to, and that was a very deep, dark depression to do with the trauma. But that's not to say you can't pull yourself out of it. But to be able to channel the Pleiadians, you first have to get yourself into a good space, because energy will flow to similar energy. Energy has movement, has frequency, has sound, has fluidity more than anything. And energy attracts like. Energy attracts energy. So the first step to channeling is actually getting into a good space, and meditation, a good space and meditation. And those would be a foundation of stepping into being able to channel. Also, music can very much put you into a good space, a good energy. because it can uplift and shift a lot of energy. Also, a word of caution when channeling or when attempting to channel is that the universe is teeming with life, and there are so many different beings, from the Pleiadians to Syrians to Arcturians, Andromeda, Lyran, and that's just the ones that I always name, because I'm quite familiar with those. Most especially the Pleiadians, but there's also a lot of other beings in the universe that are not good. And some of them are a little bit not good. And then you've got the extreme, like the more reptilian races or the other similar ones. So it's all a word of caution when trying to channel, is that when you sit down to meditate and you get yourself into a good space, emotionally or mentally, and you have music on, and then you can expand, there's techniques where you can expand your aura, or you can go up, or you can go out of your body, which is more a technique, which is more to do with consciously leaving your body and going into the astral. But a word of caution, a very strong word of caution, is that there are beings in this universe that are negative in the extreme, and sometimes negative energy, whatever level it's on, they are attracted to our light. So we have to be very discerning in being aware of that, and not connecting with anything that is not of a higher loving frequency, because energy can and does disguise itself, especially when it's negative energy. Those are the negative energy disguises itself sometimes, whatever level it's on, whether it's a demon or a spirit or an ET energy. There's many different dimensions and levels to different beings, on a positive and a negative. So I see it kind of in rows going up to different dimensions, and there's a light side and a dark side on each dimension. That's how I see it, with a column kind of in the middle. And so when you get yourself into an altered mind state or a meditative state, you move up a level from the 3D, but so you're in the center. And sometimes what can happen, we attract unconsciously, not intentionally, but unintentionally, beings can be attracted to us and our light, because the dark is attracted to the light. So we have to be very careful and very discerning, and it's a learning process of making sure that who the energies are. For example, if we hear voices, or if we feel someone gently touching our arm and there's no one physically there, we always need to be very discerning and cautious, especially in the beginning when we begin to meditate. I won't go on about that too much, Julia. I just really wanted to share that, because
I love that.
It would be irresponsible of me if I didn't.
Yeah, I love that. That's brilliant. So we've got a few people in the group, so I've asked them to put a message in the chat if they wanted to have like a private message, a personal message. Are you able to tune in to how do you tell the difference? Lee is saying, how do you tell the difference? Is that with the how do you tell the difference between the light and the dark spirits coming through?
Another great question.
Yeah.
All the questions are really great here this evening. And a lot of them people don't ask me, but they're really interesting, and perspectives. So how to tell from the light from the dark? Well,
and how to protect yourself also is another question that's just come in.
Okay, so I'll go with the first one first. How to tell? So it's okay to be tricked. It's okay to be duped. And sometimes that will, especially if the I just had something happen there. I won't share it, but it was very real, very physical. So
try to get your attention.
Yeah, something. So how to tell between the light and the dark? It's a feeling. it's a feeling that you get with the energy, and they will masquerade their energy as being of the light when it's not. So that it's a feeling you get with the energy, and sometimes that can take a while. Sometimes a being, especially if it is an ET that's operating on a higher dimension, that's not to say it's good just because it's a higher dimension, because there's a column of light and dark on different dimensions. So so it would be a feeling that you get with the energy. I often feel it in my stomach if it's a negative energy. But I also get, sometimes before channeling, I also get a nervous energy in my stomach. So that there's two different energies that can be going on there. Or energy in the stomach sometimes is just a nervous energy, and sometimes it's a cautionary energy of a sign or a signal or a response in my body that this energy is not okay. So it would really be the way I tell is the feeling that I get from them. And also I've learned to feel their energy. So I always know these days, more or less, when it's the Pleiadians, because they come in with an extreme sense of love. And I very much have learned to recognize that. So it is a skill, it is a process, it is something we learn to do. It doesn't happen overnight. So have patience, give time, because really channeling also is about learning skills that are to do with the psychic senses of feeling. What is this energy? Is this energy good, bad, negative, up, down, black, white, in between? Because that can happen as well. A gray kind of area. Yeah. So
what do you do? What do you do to protect yourself personally? What are your favorite things to do?
There's so many different techniques out there. One of the things I do is I call in my guides, I call in my team. So I kind of have this vision of a team in the north, south, east, and west, because I've done a lot of shamanic training or learning. So I go with the northwest, northeast, southwest, where I have a team psychically or visually in my mind's eye. I have a team in each of those sections. So a team would be color, crystals, sound, healing, shields. It would be symbols. It would be my spirit guides, my animal spirit guides. It would be the galactics, the Pleiadians, Jesus, like all of these different beings, and then light and color and crystals and sound. I also wear a lot of I wear this, which is something that Dennis gifted me, which is more to do with protecting from frequencies, because yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of targeting, isn't there? I think we'll talk about targeting on another show, maybe. Yeah. Are you okay if we move into doing a little bit of reading? In the chat, I think we've got Lee as the first, or was it Joe? Let's see. It's Joanne is the first one. Don't know if you can connect into Joanne's energy. Yeah.
Am I okay to ask if I can see the people? Because I can't.
Yeah. Did you guys want to put your cameras on? If you're okay. I know Joe is okay putting her camera on. It should be on actually. So Joe, if you should be able to see Joanne. Yeah. In the red. Yeah.
Hi, Joanne. Lee, Karen.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. It's really lovely to be here and meet you guys.
Lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
So just general readings, whatever you get would be amazing. Thank you.
And who's going first, Julia?
Joanne in the red.
Joanne. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want me to do a channeling, or do you want me to pull a card, or what would you like to do?
You know the one where you tell people about their soul's journey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Nikki, hello. You just popped up there. Okay, so is your question, Joanne, about your soul's journey?
Yes, please.
Okay. I feel that you're struggling at the moment. I feel things are very difficult. I feel energy in your stomach. I feel what an image I'm seeing is of you in the dark, a psychic image of you in the dark, which is about uncertainty, not knowing which direction to go in. I feel that you're quite tearful. I feel you've burdened. I feel a heaviness on your shoulders, don't know which direction to go in. I feel that you're extremely psychic. And they're actually saying, I'm going to put my camera on as well. They're actually saying that you are, highly sensitive. Super sensitive is a better word to energies, to other people's energies, whether it's physical or emotional or pain. And the pain can be in the body of someone that you're stood next to, or it can even be emotional, like depression, which is an emotional pain. And sometimes I had an experience years ago where I was very young, I was sat in a taxi, and he had a bad back. And I started to get this pain in my back. And I turned and looked at him for some God-known reason and said, do you have a bad back? Because I kind of copped on, I realized. And he said yes. And it was only for me, like, getting that sense of knowing that this is not my pain. But had I been a bit less aware, I would have got out that taxi with a bad back, not knowing that I just picked it up from him. So I feel, and the reason they're sharing that with you is because I feel that that is happening to you. Like, if I had not copped on and known or been told that it was his pain, whether it was physical or emotional, I would have carried it with me. But I let it go as soon as I got out of the taxi. So I'm just looking for a crystal here. I feel that crystals will help you, and sound and movement, and possibly even some healing. I feel that you're feeling a little bit stuck, not knowing which direction to go in. I do feel children around you. I feel there's a sister or siblings. I feel a sense of emotion with you, being emotional and wanting to have a good cry, even needing to have a good cry and let things go, let things be. I feel that there's a little bit of even targeting is the word I'm hearing. But I'm seeing that you're super sensitive to energies and get easily emotional and overwhelmed. I feel that there might have been a recent passing that could have been within the previous 5 years. It's a recent to me. So I feel that is there. Is there any issues with your dad?
Not with my dad, no, but I have had a recent passing. In the last 4 months.
Okay.
Which was my sister's husband.
Okay.
Yeah. And everything you've said is spot on.
I'm just the messenger, literally just a channel for information. The information highway.
Oh, that's amazing. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
is there a message to take forward with it? I don't know. Is that possible?
Yeah. Music, sound, healing, frequency, love, light. I feel the energy of Jesus and Mother Mary around you very strongly. I feel that you're very gifted with your abilities, very psychic, very awake, very aware, very conscious. I feel, and okay, thanks. And they're also saying you've got mediumship ability, you've got ability to channel, which will be a process. It's not an overnight thing. Channelers don't just suddenly appear in the public being, overnight being able to channel. It's like a whole, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny because I just started that journey about 2 weeks ago.
I feel that you're being very hard on yourself, even unconsciously or being unaware of it. And I feel that I just want to give you a huge hug. I feel like you're going through a lot, and I feel energy in your stomach that needs to be cleared. And also grief, the energy of grief, what we do more, maybe in Ireland than England, I'm not, maybe, is we suck it, or when we have tears at a funeral, we suck that energy in to our throat and then push it down to our heart and then push it down to our stomach. So we can often have layers of grief, anger, depression, rage, sadness, grief, anger, rage, depression, sadness in different in different chakras. So our throat, our heart, our stomach. And I feel that you've got some of that going on, maybe not to the extreme, but somewhere in the middle. So just be accepting of what is going on with you. Be accepting and loving towards yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle. I just feel like I really want to cup you up into like, what is that? Not candy, but sugar floss. Is it sugar floss or
Candy floss?
Candy floss. Thanks, Julia. Candy floss of love, energy, of the pinkness. And I do feel very strongly Jesus around you, and I'm seeing an image of him. Very loving energy. And I feel that it might help you to get out a bit and maybe go to a spiritualist church or join a group or do something where you learn to develop your abilities, because they are there within you. And Atlanta's past life is coming up for you. And you've also, I heard the word, not the word, I heard the word Georgia, but it's the place in America. And then I was being shown an image of a Native American, thank you, spirit guide that works with you, that you've known in previous lifetime. Where you would have known him. Our guides are not random. We've known our guides before in past life, which is why they're connected to us. We choose them. They choose us. It's preordained, predestined.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. I'll move on to the next person. I really appreciate they got me crying.
Yeah, my heart goes out to you. I really feel the emotion that you're in at the moment. And I want to say so much. I love you. And it's from spirit. I love you. And I'm not sure who it is, but I love you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, so we're going to move on the list. We're going to move to Nikki next, Soma, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's Nikki? Nikki?
Hiya.
Hi, Nikki. Sorry, I was getting very drawn to Tracy there and her energy. Sorry, Nikki. So, hello.
Oh, yeah.
Where have you gone? There you are. Okay. So, do you have any questions?
I mean, I'd be interested in, anything to do with my spiritual journey, really.
Those layers. Where are you, Nikki?
I mean, I can see me. I don't know.
Scott,
No, I mean, what are you in the UK? Where?
Oh, yeah. I'm on the Wirral, same as Julia.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel changes coming up for you. I feel the energy that's happening collectively at the moment is off the scale of change, and it is a change, and I've noticed it in my own life. It is a change that and it comes with not wanting to move forward, wanting things to remain the same, the relationships, the love life, the job, the security, the connection, the familiarity, the love, the paycheck, the house, the animals, the everything. And I'm really feeling that collectively, that we are being pushed, shoved forward, unwillingly, kicking and screaming to move forward. And I feel that with you. I also feel big changes coming for you, Nikki. And I've noticed within my own life, there's a lot of resistance within me to, like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to do that. I don't want to step out into the world and move forward. I want the familiar. I want the foundation. I want the stability. I want something else. But I'm being pushed and shoved in a new direction. And I feel that that is to come for you. I also feel layers of sadness with you that they were speaking of just now, to do with grief and loss and sadness and rage and anger and pissed offness. Pissed offness, yeah. They are funny sometimes, the language they use. I feel those emotions need to be released from you, because they cause dis-ease within our bodies when we don't release them, don't let them go. And I feel some of those energies with you. And I'll probably have some of those, and I know I have some of those energies within me at the moment. A pissed offness, stepping into the unknown is scary. And so I feel there's some things you need to let go of there, which is a great thing, because I see you being lighter. I see, in terms of emotion and physically in energy, I see you moving forward and being lighter. I feel there's a house move coming up for you this year. I feel there's either possibly a change of job or change, but also change of direction. I see you moving forward and being pissed off about it. I feel energy in your stomach. That it's an anger, a frustration, a sadness. It's all those emotions blended. Because anger comes with sadness. You know, we don't get anger if there's not sadness. Those are intertwined emotions within layers, and I feel you need a good cry and to release the heaviness. Even a physical massage on your shoulders would help, and definitely some type of healing or Reiki, or having a good scream or a good cry or releasing when there's no one else around, because it's not socially acceptable to do that in public, or even sometimes with family and friends, you know. I feel there's other stuff going on with you. Is there anything you want to say?
No, thanks.
Does that like, is that, would you say that was accurate?
Yeah, well, hopefully it's just a current thing. It's not my permanent state of being, but yeah, I'm not really a crier. You know, I tend to keep it in, or I haven't got time for crying. I haven't got time to look like a mess. But yeah, it'll pass.
Do you get a sense of any guides that are there for Nikki at the moment?
Okay. You can scream it out or shout it out. You don't have to cry it out. Tap into that anger and get fucking angry. Like, and you can do it in a room alone. It doesn't have to be visible. Like, people don't need to know. They don't need to know what you're going through. I feel there's changes. I will get to that, Julia. But I feel this, and I think I've said this already, but I feel there's changes around work, possibly relationship, and moving, moving house, or there's movement there. There's movement that that is very challenging, very difficult. Is there guides there? Yes, there is. So many of us have had Native American past lives, and I also see a Native American with you, a male chief energy. I also seeing snake energy, which is about change and growth and movement forward. You know, I was taught that as the snake sheds its skin, it moves forward. So it's a letting go and moving forward from the old into the new. It's a new rebirth. It's a death. It's not a death in the sense of a grief or someone dying, but a death in the old you, a new beginning, a new dawn. And if you need to get angry, get angry. It doesn't have to be tears, but you do need to release that energy, whether it's in the form of tears or anger or rage. And you can, it's like a boiling pot. If you don't take the lid off, it's going to explode or implode. A very good technique I learned that I used when my mum died, that put me back into PTSD because of the trauma. And that is very common when someone dies and they've had trauma in their childhood and their parent dies, or the abuser, that will trigger PTSD. So a good technique I used at that time was I would go into the mountains or a rural area, and I would lay down on the earth and I would just scream and release all that emotion. You can do that in your room or the bathroom or the toilet or wherever. It doesn't have to be.
I live in a flat.
Even a flat.
That's another thing. Yeah.
Get angry, release, but release that emotion.
But about the neighbours like contacting the police or something, because I think somebody's being murdered.
Then go out into nature where there's no one. Make sure there's no one there, for obvious reasons. But if you do it in a flat, maybe turn the telly up, or do it when they're at work, or find somewhere, you know, turn the music up. Do it into a pillow.
Yeah, thank you.
That's brilliant. On the list, I've got Lee next. Can you connect it to Lee, please? And Lee might have questions. Go on, Lee.
Hiya, honey.
Hello.
If I've got questions, I can never remember them at the time. and I always forget to write them down when they occur to me. So I usually step back onto the what I need to know and maybe why I need to know it. Or anything from my past lives, anything that you deem reasonable and necessary right now. I know it's a bit vague.
It's funny because there's also sometimes this happens and I do question it, but there's also a Native American spirit guide working with you, Chief, that you would have been very close to in a past life. It's like you were his child or his, that's what I'm seeing, is that you were his child.
Is he willing to give his name?
I don't know. I am not getting a name, but I'm seeing an image of him where there's a big headdress. He was a chief, very prominent within his tribe or clan, very prominent, very revered, very reputable, very known, very like you didn't, people wouldn't have said no to him, you know, very in charge, very teacher type energy, and it's not a bad thing. People wouldn't have said no to him. He was very strong person, very determined, very strong. I'm not getting a name. But thanks. I want to go to Lakota or Dakota, that area. And I just feel I'm actually, the energy he's coming with is very much in the extreme of a father figure, in the extreme, like he would protect you with his life. And that's in the past life energy. I'm also getting a sense that, what was the other thing? I'm hearing wounded knee. So I don't know if that was, I think that was a physical battle in history, wounded knee or wounded knee. I think it was, it was some history, some day in history to do with the Native Americans, wounded knee, I think, wounded knee. It was like a day in history where there was a battle or, yeah. I feel that you're very gifted, very spiritual, very gentle, very loving, very kind, very compassionate. I see crystals around you. I see cards. I'm getting a sense that you've mediumship ability and that your third eye is very open. And also the dream time, I feel that you've had dreams, most definitely, of Native America or guides. And if you haven't, then that's absolutely coming. I also feel that sometimes you find it hard to say no to people. You're a giver. You really give a lot to other people. Sometimes even too much. You know, I'm a giver, so I know sometimes I give too much. I feel family around you. I feel a sense of children, a sense of loved ones. There's family around you.
That's the one thing I don't have.
Oh, that's interesting. Because
my parents have both gone forward. And I have a partner who I live with. My family basically is my pack. I have 3 dogs.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. But you do have a partner.
Yes.
Okay. And do you get on well with his family?
Yes, we don't see them a lot. His mum died a couple of 3 years ago, because I live on the Wirral, and Pete, who comes from Bootle in Liverpool, moved in with me, so we don't actually see much of his family. So, mind you, he's allergic to making phone calls, so he doesn't get in contact with his family very much. And he's not the sort to be pushed. If you push him, he digs his heels in. He's an into pressure animal.
I know one of those. Yeah, I'm gonna put myself on mute for a second. Just so I don't say anything. Yeah, I just, I'm not sure why I was seeing that then, because I was seeing, and I'm still seeing family around you. It could be family in spirit.
Could be. I mean, both my parents were the black sheep of their particular families, so I have never been sort of 2 doors up with my gran and granddad. I've never been with cousins. I don't have any siblings, but my mum had 3 miscarriages before me, and I don't know. And also, obviously, can't ask. I don't know whether they were boys and girls. I don't know. I mean, they wouldn't have been born sleeping or anything like that. They were actual miscarriages. So I might well have family, but I don't know them.
Okay.
And my problem is I don't do names. You could throw names at me and I'll just go, well, yeah, if you say so, because I don't know them.
Okay. Do you have, I'm seeing the word auntie, or getting the word auntie and uncle. So my feeling is that you would have an auntie and uncle, whether they're here physically or in spirit. I'm not sure. But I do feel family around you. So I'm guessing that they are in spirit. Connections to Manchester as well, and Liverpool. I'm not sure where that is. I hope that's okay for you, Lee.
Can I just ask a question on Lee's behalf?
Yeah.
So Lee used to feel that she'd been hexed or blocked in some way in childhood. Do you get a sense of that?
I would say that's accurate. I would say that's to do with with past life and who you are on a soul level, where you were where the galactics knew about you, whether they were both positive and negative, because there's galactics that are positive and negative, in the sense that, let me take that back. So this is a very common theme that all starseeds would have, where negative and positive ET energies are aware of us as children before we know who we are as starseeds. And it's a very common theme that we get tracked and traced from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. And technology is used in both a positive and negative way by some of these beings, all these beings. So I'm not surprised. And I'm not trying to put fear in you. I'm just trying to explain what I've been shown, and why sometimes we can get blocked, or certain things can happen in our life. certain upsets or trauma, or and varying degrees of those. So yes, I would say that's accurate, and I would say that that's to do with who you are on a soul level, and it's most definitely, I'm seeing it's most definitely to do with the past life with your with a Native American father, because he was your father. That's what I'm seeing. Where because a lot of the Natives Americans, all of them, I would say, I would go so far as saying all of them have been tracked and traced in this lifetime. Lifetimes are a continuation of the soul. It's not something that is separate from us. It's like the school system, or where we just progress and move forward. Past lives are a continuation of our soul. So sometimes we bring forth energy, good and bad, sometimes consciously or on a soul level, or unconsciously on a soul level. We bring energy and sometimes physical marks on our body into this lifetime, and sometimes also conditions like certain disabilities, for example, or marks or scars, or even energies and even emotional ways, including abilities. Like with life, it's a continuation.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Julia?
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people I didn't get to, but I'm thinking, would we be able to do this again? Maybe on the...
Yeah, that would be great. Do you think maybe next Wednesday? Would everyone be okay with that? You can book in directly with Soma if you wanted to have a private reading, and you can visit her website, which is somaarah.love, or you can find her on Facebook, a Soma ARah Pleadian channel and Akashic reader. So if you did want to, because we have gone quite over, haven't we, our normal slot, and there's a much bigger group than I was expecting. Normally it's about 4 of us. So it's so amazing.
That
but
would
if
be great.
you're available next Wednesday, that would be brilliant, and we could continue. That would be so good. What does everybody think about that?
That would be lovely. Soma, thank you very much for your time, honey. It's been informative. It was all stuff that I didn't know. Possibly next week if I can ask you what my soul level is, but if we're over now, it'll wait. I mean, it's all waited 59 years, so I'm sure another week won't make the slightest difference.
Thank you, Lee. I need to mention a couple of things there. So I can't do, well, let me see. I can.
Well, I'm just going to stop the recording there, and then we can finish and have a chat there. But thank you so much, Soma. That's amazing.